Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Forsyth. I am a spiritual life coach. This is your weekly reading where we're talking all about what kind of energy is the universe serving up this week? What do you need to know about this energy? How can you make the most of this energy so that you can use it to your benefit? So, that is exactly what this weekly reading is all about. I'm going to talk about what I'm feeling in the energy, what messages I got about the energy, and then we're going to build on those messages with some tarot cards to help to just further demonstrate what the messages are and help you to understand it in a more deep, detailed way. So make sure that you stick around to the end. The tarot part is always my favorite part of the reading. It's usually people's favorite part of the reading. So I would love for you to connect with it. How are you guys doing? How are you feeling? Lots of triggers happening today. Who's feeling triggered? Raise your hand. Let me know. Maybe hit me with a little hand raise emoji. Have you been triggered today, recently? We have Saturn coming out of retrograde today, and it's been retrograde, or not Saturn, Uranus. And Uranus has been in retrograde since September 1st. And we've been on this journey. Saturn, why do I keep saying Saturn? Wow. Uranus is the planet of change, of breakthrough in a lot of ways. And so it's been inviting us to change and transform and to allow our lives to transform. But I feel like it can also be a planet of surprises. And I think that we're getting hit with some curveballs. I definitely feel like there are some breakthroughs that are on their way. I made a short about it. So hang in there if you're feeling triggered, if you're feeling frustrated. I think a lot of things are coming to the surface because we're really learning how to roll with the punches, right? That Uranus is the planet of the unexpected as well. And I think that that really is a big part of what 2025 has in store for us. We're already seeing it. There's a lot of unexpected that's happening, a lot of surprises that are happening. And so I think part of this is in allowing us to learn how to go with the flow even better than we learned before. We've been learning this for a while. So you might be really tired of hearing me talk about flow, but it is like we have to work with the energy as it's unfolding and as it's happening and go with the flow, even if that feels scary or that feels overwhelming. Because what other choice do we have? The other choice is to fight against it and to act like we have some kind of control or power over it. And some things we do have control over, right? So focus on what you do have control over, but also try not to fight against the energy. Try not to swim against the current of where the energy is flowing, because I don't think that that's going to serve us very well. So trusting in where all of this is leading. And even if you have triggers coming up for you, why are you being triggered? Maybe it's showing you something that you need to be aware of about yourself, about your journey, about where you're at, about what you need to heal, about what you need to work on. And I also think it's showing us there's a lot of truth that's happening. So it's showing us what we need to understand. We have a lot of free will as human beings. And so we're making these choices all the time. And my choices are impacting you, and your choices are impacting me. And we're all just bouncing off of one another. And so I do think that there are truths that are happening right now that we're starting to understand, where our choices have led in a certain direction, and how other people's choices have impacted us. And the good news is we get to make decisions about that. We get to decide, what do I want to do with this information that I have? Now, people bring this to me a lot. They'll say, I don't understand, why, if, for example, like if this relationship wasn't meant to work out for me, and now I'm understanding that it wasn't meant to work out for me, why did I feel like it was so right when it started? And I think that there's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, I think sometimes we are meant to come together with certain people to learn certain lessons. We are meant to have certain experiences, even if on the other side of that experience, it's punishing or it's difficult or we have healing to do on the other side of that. And I don't think that every bad experience was meant to happen to us. Again, I think a lot of this is people making free will choices and we're being impacted by that. But I know that no matter what happens, God is going to use it for you. No matter what choices are being made. And so if we can learn how to take a step back and say, how do I use this? Or how does it seem like God, the universe is wanting to use this for me? Then we can again learn how to go with the flow and be a little bit more adaptable. Adaptable, flexible is going to be really helpful here in this week, in this year, as we're dealing with some of these curveballs. But I think we're being invited to do a lot of work right now. And specifically, I'm noticing with people that we're being shown where our limits are as well. And so this is an important question to ask yourself. If you feel like you've been pushed to your limit, what do you need to do about that? What boundaries do you need to set? What changes do you need to make? I think that this is an important question for us to be asking ourselves right here. One of my clients said today, how does she say it? Something like, my bullshit level is at capacity right now, right? But I think that like a lot of people are in this place right now where their bullshit level is at capacity. So what do you do with that, right? You take a look at that and you say, okay, so what am I willing to tolerate in my life? What am I willing to allow? And what am I not willing to allow? Because I do think that we want to be taking a look at that and setting boundaries as we need to and honoring commitments that we're making to ourselves. I think a lot of times we know what we need, we know what we need to be doing, but sometimes that's hard to make that commitment to ourselves or to honor that commitment to ourselves. But as we honor our commitments to ourselves, we are deepening our self-love. To me, this is like that journey and that pathway to self-love. When you learn that you can make a commitment to yourself and you can honor that, you recognize, wow, like I'm taking care of myself. I'm honoring myself. I'm honoring the commitments that I've made to myself. And so it helps to move that self-love meter just a little bit higher. And every time you do that, you're learning how to trust yourself. I think that relationship with yourself is so key and so important. And so I think that we're starting to understand that and we're starting to recognize where our limits are. And there's a real opportunity to honor ourselves and to honor the commitments to ourselves through recognizing where the limits are and honoring whatever we decide we need to do about that. So I think that we're being invited to do that this week. I also am recognizing for a lot of people, it's being highlighted some of those qualities that we have that are both our blessing and our curse, right? So I use this as an example a lot, but it's a good example for me. So a quality that I have that's both my blessing and my curse sometimes, if I allow it to be, because we all have these, is I'm a Taurus. There is a lot of stubbornness within me. And that stubbornness has carried me really far. That stubbornness has brought me to a place where I say I'm going to do something and I do it. I stay the course. I stay committed to it. I keep going after it. I keep making it happen. And so that stubbornness in the blessing aspect of it becomes tenacity. And then in the curse aspect of that, there are times when I catch myself, if I feel as though like for whatever reason I need to be stubborn about something, I will dig my heels in and not necessarily hear the feedback that could be helpful to me. So sometimes I'm preventing myself from connecting with feedback that's helpful to me because I'm being stubborn, because I'm not being open. And so it's something that I try to be aware of and try to be open and try to hear what people want to bring to me. Even if like, if for whatever reason, there's something that somebody is saying that is sparking that stubbornness within me. I try to be open to that so that I can hear that. So that's an example of that. I would love to hear for you guys. What does that look like for you? What is a quality that you have that's both a blessing and a curse at the same time? And where is that getting you in trouble this week? Recognize where you're getting in trouble with things this week. I've recognized that stubbornness wanting to come up for me a lot this week. Also, it could be something like you care a lot about people. That's certainly a quality that I have. And so where that can be a blessing is I care about people a lot. I call myself an empath. I feel very empathic towards people and connect with that really deeply. And at the same time, that can get me in trouble sometimes. At the same time, I can allow that to cloud my judgment or to allow people to get away with things that they shouldn't be getting away with, or to let people push my limits until a point where I'm just like, absolutely not, this can't happen, right? I do get to that point. That stubbornness in me helps me with that too. But sometimes it takes me a little bit to get to that point. And so the curse aspect of that is that like I can let people steamroll all over me, or I have in the past. So it's all about learning how to use those qualities. So what are those qualities for you? I think that this is so important. But let what's happening show you your limits. I feel very much like I'm kind of ungrounded this week, and it's even hard for me to connect with the messages today. I just don't feel as plugged in and as tuned in. And I think part of this is like we've had a lot of light coming onto the planet this week, a lot of adjustments, a lot of things happening with that planetary alignment. There's just been a lot. And there was a couple days that I was sick last week too. And so even that, I think like our bodies are having to adjust to a lot of energy. So a lot of you guys might have found that you've been sick lately as well, as we're adjusting to all of these energies. I think part of what's happening is it's hard for us to feel fully focused and connected, especially with these retrogrades that are happening as well. So you might feel a little all over the place, a little easily distracted in this energy. It's hard. I was saying in my membership, like expect January to not feel like there's a lot happening, right? There are things happening and there are things moving, but I also think there's this sense of just like being very reflective and feeling stuck with a lot of things with all these retrogrades, or feeling limited in a lot of ways. And that's going to get lighter as the year progresses. But I think with all of this is happening, we might not be feeling as grounded as we typically would. So I am going to make sure that I intentionally ground myself. I'm going to just use some crystals to do that. I like to use black or red crystals to do that, or thinking about connecting my feet to the earth. It's a little cold for me, but I might take a few minutes and just feet on the earth today, just so I feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more connected to myself. I was saying in the title that we need to be focusing also on laying down roots. So I mean that in terms of making sure that we're feeling grounded and we're feeling connected to ourselves and to our bodies with all of this energy, but also asking ourselves, like, what is it that where do I need to start to like lean into some things a little bit more? I've been talking about leaning in to new beginnings, to new blessings, to this new era. And so where do I need to begin to create a little bit more stability around that? Even if I don't feel grounded, even if I feel floaty, or even if I feel afraid to take things to the next level, there's very much this energy of starting to take things to the next level in some way, and laying down a foundation, laying down roots, maybe deciding this is the place where my soul feels at home and I want to set up shop here in some way. I want to get more comfortable here in some way. I want to begin to create a future here in some way. So I think that that's something that's really important for us to be processing this week and reflecting on, and taking some steps in that direction with, so that we're creating a sense of some more stability in our lives, so that we are honoring that. And it might be where we're laying down roots might simply be in honoring our limits, honoring our boundaries, honoring where we have decided that we're going to focus on taking care of our bodies, on our self-care, whatever that looks like. But where are you feeling called to lay down roots? So let's dive into the cards. How are you guys feeling? Are you noticing that you're feeling this pull, this call to lay down roots? Are you noticing that? Are you noticing where your limits are? What are some limits? What are some limits that you are committed to setting? What are, oh my gosh, again with these cards. Okay. What are some limits that you feel like you need to incorporate more into your life? Where are you recognizing your blessings and your curses? You know, those qualities that can be both a blessing and a curse for you. And how are you magnifying the blessing aspect of that? Let me know. Let me know in comments. Hi, Linda. Nice to see you here. You guys are quiet tonight. I didn't go live on YouTube today, though. I'm trying to decide, and you guys can let me know. I'm trying to decide, do I want to go live on YouTube, or do I just want to put the replay up? Because sometimes when I put the replay up, it seems to be seen by more people. It's easier for people to find. But at the same time, sometimes it seems like there's more engagement when I go live. So what works for you guys? What do you like? I've done a little bit of both here with this. So let me know. I think we're doing a lot of growing in this energy. A lot of growing, a lot of thinking, a lot of processing as well, especially for those of you that are overthinkers. You might be doing that. That might be your blessing and your curse, right? Maybe you're somebody who thinks through things really thoughtfully, and you're really good at analyzing things and coming up with solutions and ideas and all that stuff. But also, like, the curse aspect of that is that you're an overthinker, and sometimes like you let it live in your head too long. And where do you need to make adjustments to that? Okay, let's dive into the cards and talk about what we have going on. Again, like, there's a lot of people here, a lot of people. And like, I just kind of get that energy. I feel like we're working through a lot of social, interpersonal stuff. A lot of the triggers are maybe interpersonal stuff. Again, let it teach you about yourself. Let it show you where you need to work on things. So the Six of Wands, I think that this feels like some kind of a breakthrough this week. I was saying, I feel like with Uranus going direct, we're going to see, especially for those of us who have been willing to go with the flow, to roll with the punches, to be willing to make adjustments in our lives and to listen to what God and the universe are showing us that we need to change. I think there's going to be breakthrough energy with that. And now this suggests it was not that easy, right? The Six of Wands is a card that comes after a battle of some kind, a challenge of some kind, but it's us celebrating, it's us being celebrated. So I think there's some kind of maybe being seen in some way, or being seen in a different way is the breakthrough this week. So we can expect that to happen as well. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, Meg saying hitting the nail on the head with the social triggers. Yeah, I think they're a lot of that happening. A lot of truth coming out about people in our world, a lot of that stuff happening. So then we have the Knight of Pentacles. And I think that we had both of these cards last week. So the Knight of Pentacles focuses on laying down roots. So it doesn't surprise me that it's here. This is about like, what are you willing to focus on? What do you want to focus on for the long haul? What are the seeds that you're planting? What are the roots that you're laying down? What is the work that you're investing in a project, a relationship, a situation, a person, um, yourself? Like, what are the things that you're investing in that are for the long term, that are for, these are those things that we don't always want to be doing, but we know that we have to do them to achieve the goal that we want to be achieving, right? The Knight of Pentacles is not a flashy energy. It's not an exciting energy. It's just like, I know what I need to do to get to where I need to be. And sometimes we have to do those things that we don't particularly like, right? It might be, I need to move my body to achieve the goals. I need to eat a specific way in order to achieve the goals that I have around my body or something like that. It could be, I know that I need to put the work in some way, invest the work in some way. I know that I need to be vulnerable in some way. So where are we feeling called to put that work in that's going to help to create more stability, that's going to help to lay down roots? And again, where do you want to rest your soul? What circumstances in your life do you want to be the place that you allow to be the home for your soul? I think we're thinking a lot about that this week and exploring that. And I think it can be better than expected if we're willing to lean into that. We also have the Nine of Pentacles. I'm getting with this, like, that we need to remember who we are. I think there's a lot of triggers, and so we can get very anxious about things. But it's like, no, remember who you are. Remember what you bring to the table. Remember what you wanted to create and come back to the vision and keep working on it. I also get that. Like, this is somebody who has invested a lot of her time and her effort into something. And if it's worth the investment, then it's worth the investment. And I say, go all in. Lean into that and give it what you have. Give it the energy that you actually have right now anyway, because I think we also aren't feeling particularly energized right now. So that can be hard. But where can you take steps? What can you be doing? How can you be giving it some level of energy so that you're building that success? Because this is success. The Nine of Pentacles is success. And it's success through being diligent, through being consistent, through doing it again and again and again, and not giving up on yourself and not giving up on what you're working on. So it's continuing to come back to it. I'm not surprised to see two Pentacles cards. These are Earth cards. Earth is connected with grounding and laying down roots in these kinds of things. And get really clear, Seven of Swords, with what your limits are, what you're willing to allow, especially in regard to deception. Has there been some kind of deception? Has there been some kind of truth that you're like, oh yeah, I don't really like that. That doesn't work for me. So, okay, but make sure that you honor it. If you make a commitment to yourself, make sure you honor it. That's what I feel like. If you decide this doesn't work for me, then moving forward with your life in some way. And I get, like, that's not always the easiest thing, but making sure that we're making commitments and that we're honoring that. I had somebody today say, you know what? I need to have you help me with accountability, but I need to be holding myself more accountable. And I just get the energy with this. Like, where do we need to be holding ourselves more accountable with something where maybe we're getting off track in some way, or we're letting fear shut us down in some way. King of Swords, because it's time to focus. I think there's a lot of clarity coming through this week. I think that there's a lot of inspired action. Sometimes for me, King of Swords is inspired action. It's like, oh, I have this idea And now I'm going to take action on it. Now I'm going to do it. Now I need to follow through with it. Or I'm clear on what I want. I'm clear on where I want to go. And now it's time to lay down roots. It's time to take the steps. It's time to take something to the next level. It's time to make that commitment, whatever that is, whether it's a commitment to yourself, whether it's a commitment to somebody else. Honoring that. And I also feel like maybe there are conversations that are being had that are needing to be had. I talked a lot about forgiveness last week. Maybe there are conversations being had around that, maybe not. But this is definitely a say what you need to say kind of energy. Now, remember, Mars is still in retrograde, so check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? Make sure that you're not saying things that are going to get you in trouble, thinking about what you want to say before you say it. The King of Swords is very mindful about that. He doesn't just like fly off, like at the mouth. Is that even a thing that people say? But he's very thoughtful, and then he says what he needs to say, and he follows through with whatever it is that he says. And Renee is saying, so right on, I've been putting off a project and I just dove in tonight. Yeah, I think that there's we do feel that there's a little, with Uranus coming out of retrograde, like the planets are starting to come out of retrograde a little bit. We're starting to feel a little bit more inspired. I think we'll feel a little bit more inspired as we move a little bit further into the year. But here we go with inspiration. We have the Page of Wands. This is inspiration. This is what are you being sparked to do? Pay attention to that. I'm feeling like I need to make some more reels and to dive into that stuff a little bit more, and to focus on that a little so that people are getting different kinds of information. So I've been focusing on that this week. What are you feeling focused? Like you need to focus on, that you need to do, and that you need to follow through with. But this should also feel like something you're excited about. What's exciting to you, right? We don't want to lay down roots about things that we're not excited about. This is saying what do you feel passionate about? What do you feel excited about? And how do you create some semblance of stability around that? How do you take it to the next level? How do you keep working on it and move in the direction of those things that you're excited about, you're passionate about, you feel good about, you're feeling driven around? So pay attention to all of that. I hope that you guys are feeling great. I hope that you're navigating all of these triggers. It's a lot. I see my phone. I just got done with sessions and it's just lots of messages. I see you all. I'm sending you all light as you find your way through all of this. I know it's been a very triggering past couple of days even. I think we have to trust it, right? It's showing us, it's teaching us, it's helping us, it's elevating us, it's supporting us, and it's showing us what gets to be here in this new era that we've been talking about in our lives and what doesn't, right? Where do we need to close the door on some things and let that be in the past so that we can let ourselves be happy and peaceful in the present and in the future. All right, guys, thank you so much. I will see you soon with another video. Take care.